So, I've said on the YouTube channel that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is, without question in my mind, the best Assassin's Creed game in years and was a great step in the right direction for Ubisoft and where they were trying to take the series. That being said, guys, we have what looks to be the biggest DLC that Ubisoft's ever put out for an Assassin's Creed title, and this is something that's got me very excited. There are concerns I have about it, which we are going to get to here shortly, but I want to talk about this because this is going to be massive, I think, for the Assassin's Creed community as a whole, and what the future, of course, could look like here with Valhalla moving forward. So let's get into it. In an article, guys, coming to us from Clayton Sterling, sire of Game Rant, Assassin's Creed Valhalla's upcoming Dawn of Ragnarok DLC adds over 35 hours of new content, and Ubisoft explains why it isn't its own game. So Ubisoft released Assassin's Creed Valhalla back in November of 2020, and the developer continues to add new content to the already extensive game. With how large the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion is going to be when it releases in March, Ubisoft has explained why it needed to be part of Valhalla rather than a new game. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla's main story unfolds over the course of dozens of hours, but Dawn of Ragnarok is set to add another 35 hours or so to the adventure. The already released Assassin's Creed Valhalla expansions, Wrath of the Druids and The Siege of Paris, focus primarily on Eivor and the Viking storyline, but the upcoming expansion focuses on Havi. Havi is also known as Odin in Norse mythology and is an ancestor of Eivor in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So before we get into that, let's talk about the playing time here that you're going to get with Assassin's Creed's Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok. So when you hear the number 35 hours, that's pretty awesome, right, guys? I mean, you think in your mind, 35 hours, this is great. Now, what you got to take into consideration, though, is that that's also going to be, of course, like side quests and, like, when you go off to find, whether it's like different, side stories and side quests and such, it's going to be all of that combined, right? It's going to be certainly a lot of hours that you can put into it. I would say, though, Dawn of Ragnarok, if you were to kind of skip through like the different side stories and side missions and such, it's probably going to be more something around maybe 20 hours, not so much 35. 35 would be like the total amount that you could probably put into it. But nonetheless, that's still, thinking of it from the standpoint of a main storyline, 20 hours of new content is pretty awesome. So because the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion adds another 35 plus hours to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the expansion could have easily been a sequel to the game. Ubisoft has confirmed to GameSpot that the primary reason that this is an expansion rather than its own game is that Ubisoft wanted to put more focus on the Norse mythology of Assassin's Creed Valhalla due to how much the other expansions delved into Viking history. According to Assassin's Creed Valhalla producer Jose Areza, this expansion felt like the most cohesive way to extend the story of Valhalla. So what this tells me, though, guys, is that Ubisoft has no plans, most likely, to continue Assassin's Creed in the direction of where they took Valhalla. It tells me that they're maybe going to go into a different time period, or they're going to kind of set the next game, the next main entry in Assassin's Creed, in a different direction. They're not planning on continuing it right after Valhalla. They're going to go into a different time period, and that's why that this expansion is more specific to Valhalla, because it's going to be a part of that, what they kind of started there, and obviously kind of adding to it. They really are putting a lot of resource into Valhalla and into Dawn of Ragnarok in particular. I mean, this is a massive expansion, guys. When you're talking, even when you talk about 35 plus hours, that's a lot for a DLC, and gotta tell you, that's pretty awesome. That being said, though, the price tag certainly shows this, that they are, I mean, it's pretty close to its own game when you look at the price. Ubisoft didn't only confirm that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be receiving the large Dawn of Ragnarok expansion, but it confirmed more content for Assassin's Creed Odyssey recently as well. This new Assassin's Creed Odyssey content brings a new crossover narrative chapter to Odyssey that introduced fans of the older Assassin's Creed's title to characters from the latest installment. Although Assassin's Creed Valhalla already offers numerous references to Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins, the newest adventure was also updated to offer more crossover content with Odyssey. So For those of you who like Odyssey and Origins, this is great news for you because they're creating more content for that. I will, and I've stated this, that the dark ages of Assassin's Creed to me really started with, obviously Odyssey continued with Origins, and it kind of it felt like those dark years that happened in Call of Duty when they went and they kind of changed the way that Call of Duty was made, so to speak, like from a gameplay perspective. They introduced jetpacks in Advanced Warfare, and that continued with Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare. And that was the real dark ages of Call of Duty, in my opinion. Now, all it took, though, was after those 3 games in Call of Duty, it took one game to bring you back into the right direction in the form of Call of Duty World War II, back to a boots-on-the-ground type of feel. With Assassin's Creed, I kind of felt this same thing because we got Odyssey and Origins. Felt like just really the dark ages of Assassin's Creed, in my opinion. And then obviously Valhalla comes out and we're right back into a really positive place. I think it's one of the best Assassin's Creed in a very long time. So Ubisoft really showed this, that you can have a couple of, titles that don't, were kind of something that a lot of people didn't really like, and you were able to create a game that many people universally feels like a lot of people really enjoy Valhalla. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like it, but at the end of the day, I think that this has been a widely accepted Assassin's Creed title, to say the least. With that being said, guys, with the first year of Assassin's Creed Valhalla expansions focused so heavily on Eivor and the Viking history, Dawn of Ragnarok may be the first of multiple DLC experiences that centers on Havi. The addition of Valhalla content to Assassin's Creed Odyssey may increase how many AC fans delve into the various realms of Valhalla, while the new Odyssey crossover story in Valhalla may have the same effect for the older title. Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok releases in March, but the crossover content has already been added to Valhalla and Odyssey. So let's talk about this, guys. First of all, Dawn of Ragnarok, I'm very excited for. We saw the reveal trailer. That was incredible. I thought it looks awesome, guys. I can't wait to play this DLC experience. I think it's really when we think about DLC, and so many games that come out that have DLC, this is the first one that's felt like in a long time I've really wanted to purchase the DLC. It just feels different. It does kind of feel like its own game, even though it's a part of Valhalla. That being said, though, this is a $40 price tag. And I told you guys earlier that there were certain concerns I had about this. One, I think it would have been awesome to have a direct continuation from Valhalla. So the next Assassin's Creed continuation. In the main storyline, I would have loved to be a continuation, and that being like Assassin's Creed Dawn of Ragnarok. I thought that would be a really cool way that they could have continued it. Obviously, though, they had different plans. They wanted this just to be a DLC in the form of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And so Dawn of Ragnarok, I'm very excited about as a DLC. I'm concerned, though, that it not being its own game and being a DLC, I think a lot of people may not actually purchase it. Especially when we look at how many hours there are, I think a lot of diehard Assassin's Creed fans are going to get this DLC. But for $40, that's a pretty steep price tag when you consider what they are including. Now, obviously, guys, they are including a lot of content. Does it justify it? It depends on, really, at the end of the day, if you have 20 hours of content for $40, okay? In my mind, I'm thinking it still is tough to justify that for 20 hours. I know that we say 35, but if you say 20 hours of solid content where it's not side stories, side missions, things of that nature, and you're talking, 20 hours, that's pretty good, but I would love to see more in this type of DLC. I mean, man, dude, if they were adding like multiplayer modes, co-op modes, things of that nature, as well as, 35 hours of bonus content here in the form of this DLC, man, that feels like it would really justify a $40 price tag. So it's hard to say, guys. I mean, we're going to have to wait to get our hands on it to really feel, was this worth $40? And that's where I'm a little bit concerned. Is this going to keep people from buying the DLC because it's $40, and you get 35 hours of content, which is awesome, but is it worth it? And that's where I think a lot of this it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Nonetheless, so guys, I'm very excited for Dawn of Ragnarok. I'm going to be one of the first, of course, to be playing it. I'll be downloading it immediately when it comes out in March. What do you guys think, though? Are you going to get Assassin's Creed Valhalla's DLC Dawn of Ragnarok? Or are you going to kind of wait until other people play it? Or is it something that you're going to skip out on? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Assassin's Creed Valhalla content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.